here's an interesting question about the current housing market. And I think it hits on Brian's location. All right. It's from Nobi. He says, I bought my house at $900K in Orange County, California at 5.125%. Now my house is valued at $730,000. What should I do?
Well, I mean, I dealt with this back in the 2000s. I had a lot of neighbors.
Nothing. Right. Right.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, what should I do? So I bought this house, and it's 5.125. So that kind of gives me an idea of when you probably bought it, unless you bought it a long time ago and you did not refinance. But I don't think that's what happened. So I bet you bought it kind of recently, and now it's gone down in value. What should I do? Am I in trouble? Is this a bad thing? Well, no, not necessarily. If this is your primary residence, and if it is a used asset, and at some point you said, okay, I can justify a $900,000 purchase price for me to be able to use this asset in the way in which I want to use it, then the value of the house moving has not changed anything. Just because the value drops $200,000 did not change the way that you're going to use that or the way that you should. You know, Warren Buffett gives the example. If you had somebody just standing on your street corner, just yelling out, every day a price at which they would buy or sell your house, you would ignore them, right? Unless they yelled out a crazy number that they would sell it for, then you might entertain it. But you're just not going to pay them any attention. That's kind of the way home values are. If you've only been in the house for a short amount of time, which based on interest rate, I'm guessing it is, I don't think that Nobi needs to do anything unless, rates fall and maybe refi.
Well, here's what I think he's probably also asking is because I saw it in the Great Recession. If this real estate marketplace gets ugly, I had quite a few neighbors back in Georgia that used short selling or defaults as a planning tool. And we even changed remember the tax laws changed to where that forgiveness of debt, what used to be income, is now considered tax free. So a lot of people started thinking about, should I use this as a planning tool to walk away from this? And I can tell you as a financial mutant, be very careful because that might in the short term feel like an easy solution just to walk away from this obligation, let the bank deal with it. But the ripple effects of what this does to your financial life, I mean, it's going to take you 5 to 7 years to recover from that.
At least
5 to 7 years to recover. And I just don't like because how do contracts work? How does the fabric of the economy and society work is that you have to feel the weight of that you're going to honor obligations. And I just don't like that. So I don't like looking at default or short selling as a tool. The second thing is that if you need to be careful I would double back to looking at your liquidity, meaning your cash reserves and access to cash, because if you had something that disrupted your Apple Card of your financial life, and you're underwater in the house, like if you had to move to take another job to go someplace else, if you're underwater and have negative equity, like it sounds like you paid $900, now the house is worth $730.
Might be trapped.
There's a chance that if you had to move, that they would either want you to write a check to pay off the equity at closing, the negative equity, I should say, or you might have to rent it. I mean, this is a situation I got when I relocated my family here to Nashville in the 2016 era, and I still had a primary residence in Georgia, and I looked at the housing market. I tried to sell it, but it just wasn't getting the value that I wanted. So I rented it. I rented it for 3 years to kind of bridge that gap. That was less than ideal. I did not want to be a landlord on that property.
And right now, because it's so hard to buy homes, renting might not be a crazy idea, right? There's probably a market for that in most markets right now.
So I would, but you need to have liquidity. So in case you can't rent it very quickly, you could carry it for a few months. So go check your liquidity, make sure you have a good cash reserves, but don't get in a hurry to make desperate decisions, because there is a chance you might just have to, is kind of what Bo was implying, drive through this adjustment. If Orange County prices are adjusting right now, it's one of those things you might have to just keep the background of your financial life healthy enough, though, so that the grin and bear it phase of going through this crazy fluctuation of housing doesn't take down your entire financial household. That's the big thing. I've been there, done that. That's why it's very important, Nobi, to make sure you're paying attention to, and anybody who's listening to this is a cautionary tale, go through that 8-point checklist that we had at moneyguy.com/resources so that you can, plan through your all three, the 3Ds, as we call it. Put on your 3D glasses and go for the dream plan of what you think will happen with this housing decision. What the D is what is likely going to happen with it, and then the doo-doo situation, the bad one where it just doesn't work out, like the poop hits the fan and you're having to deal with it. You need to have a plan for that too. I mean, I hate to be all gross but that's why we named it that way. Is I want you to think about how bad things could be, plan accordingly, so that when you actually approach it in real life, you're like, oh, been here, done that, and I've got a plan for it, and I'll be okay, because you began with the end in mind.